Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. And alongside Chris and James, who is still the co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks, according to his bio, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, please consider clicking like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of ours. And if you're listening on the audio side, we appreciate it if you'd leave us a 5-star review. And as always, follow us on social media at StarcasticR throughout the season as we give you updates on the Dallas Stars and basically anything else we want. Guys, how's it going? How's it going?
Great.
The going is going.
Wow, that was riveting. I was expecting way more. Well, since y'all decided not to say anything, I'll go ahead and say what I was going to say. So we started our marching show, and we are going to play the first 3 out of our 5 movements for the high school marching band. So I'm actually very excited for Friday. It's our first performance with a bunch of freshmen, and we'll have to see how it goes. So I'm stoked for it. In terms of hockey stuff, I'm looking for an E-League team. So anybody want to let me know what's going on E-League wise? I'll join your team.
He's a free agent, low price. It's only $20,000 a season.
No, the league minimum is $7.75, right? $7.75. But anyways, we've got a lot of stuff. I know it was a dumb joke. I'm tired. All right, my jokes are not as good as they normally are. Like they're never this.
No, that was one of your better ones, actually.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we've got some stuff to talk with you guys here tonight. James actually sent both Chris and I an interesting article about the NHL EDGE stats for the Dallas Stars. And if you like the stupid stats that just are come out of nowhere and are really interesting to kind of know about, this is obviously the episode for you. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to discuss Sam Nestler's interview that he did with Jake Oettinger a little bit. That's on the Die Hard level if you want to go and subscribe to DLLS for that to read the whole story. But we're going to talk about that a little bit and some of the quotes that came from that. And then we're going to get into our Who Cares segment as always. And we'll see whatever else pops up as we go along. But let's start with the NHL EDGE stats. This is from NHL.com. This is the typical stuff that they do every single year where they have a preview and like one day they focus on one team. Well, this particular aspect of the quote-unquote preview is different, and it's talking about the EDGE stat leaders for the Dallas Stars. And there were a lot of – I read through it. I was actually kind of like, really? Wow, this is kind of interesting. It's different. It makes you think about some things in terms of specific players and what they what they did and how they did and stuff like that. But, James, since you were the one that kind of sent us this article, I'll let you kind of – decide which one of these you wanted to start off with. What was the thing that kind of jumped out to you off the page?
Well, I mean, first of all, we talked about Wyatt Johnston so much this year and how it felt like he should have had so many more goals than he actually ended up with. And that's one of the first things that the article mentions is high danger shots for Wyatt Johnston. And he actually ranked 6th among all forwards in high danger shots. And that's shots directly in front of the goalie. That's like 5 feet from the goalie, ranked 6th overall. And just little stats like that is fun stuff to get from this new tool that NHL has released. And out of high danger goals, he got 22, which they use percentiles of players to rank it instead of giving you an actual ranking for most of them. But it's 90. He's better than 90% of forwards in high danger goals. So just kind of thinking about that, looking at Wyatt Johnston and how much he missed and looking how most of his goals came from right in front of the net.
Ryan, you're muted.
Dang it. Sorry.
That's what happens when he doesn't lead anything.
Sorry, there's a dog right here. I was
every time someone else leads the segment, Ryan is muted 100% of the time.
I would say I would get better about it, but it's been 5 years and I still haven't gotten better about it. So it's just gonna be what it is. But anyways, what I was saying was what I mean, does that lead to the whole conversation of what people talk about and kind of like what I like to say about a lot with Wyatt Johnston is he that clutch player? Does he have that clutch gene? Is that a stat you can kind of look at and say, this backs up that claim?
Yeah,
Well,
I think the stat more points to he should be scoring more.
Yeah, it definitely does. What was really interesting to me is when you go and you look at his player like NHL Edge stats for the year, all of his goals are in front of that. That's where 66% of his goals come from, is right in front of the net. That's kind of a problem, honestly. It means you're shooting so bad from other places that they're just not going in. And this is actually kind of a trend with Wyatt. He's incredibly good right in front of the net. And that's a great spot to be good, because when you get the puck there, you want to put it in. But it also means that once he gets further from the goalie, he falls off a lot more. And I was thinking about playoffs. That makes a lot of sense for him to drop off scoring in playoffs, because that part of the ice is what's closed up. You're not getting to the front of the goalie. And if that's where all your goals are scored, you're not going to do very well.
Yep. I definitely agree. He needs to get a better shot so he can be more dangerous in those playoff scenarios when it's clogged up. And I think scoring in the middle of the ice kind of shows more what his main skill is, and that's the hockey IQ. He's able to get to those high danger areas in a soft spot of the defense. He knows when to go there. He knows how to get the puck when he's in that spot. And vice versa, him not being able to score from outside of there shows he might not have the best shot in the world there.
Yeah.
See,
and
go
ahead, Ryan. No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was I don't necessarily agree with the fact that he doesn't have a good shot. I think what he's doing is, I don't know, maybe he's second guessing himself. Maybe he's gripping the stick a little bit too tight, but he's just not finishing the chances that he's getting. And I mean, how many times did he miss the net this year on like not necessarily like right in front of the net like you're talking about, James, but there were a couple of times when he would just take the puck himself and just have a great chance and just not finish it.
Sounds like a shooting problem.
But not necessarily the quality of the shot is what I'm saying. The quality of the shot is there. Like, it's not like he has the same shot as Colin Blackwell. No offense to Colin Blackwell, but like his shot is one of the better ones on the team.
Yeah, he's not a bad shot by any means, for sure.
And the other thing I was going to say is I know that y'all are, and you kind of mentioned it, Chris, on a positive note, but that's what I would focus more on, is that he does have that hockey IQ that, he might not be getting the goals in terms of the fancy shots and stuff like that, but he's in the right place at the right time. And that sounds a lot like his former landlord, who used to do that same sort of thing with the Stars. Because I mean, Joe Pavelski lost a step during the last, few years of his career. And what gave him the ability to keep going is, yes, his line mates, but also the fact he relied upon his hockey IQ so much. So I think that needs to be more looked at than anything. Now, the question is in order to get those extra goals like we're talking about, like he should be, I think he could get to 40 or 50. I think that's still a possibility for Wyatt Johnston. How do you get to that 40 or 50, though? Do you lean in more on the hockey IQ-ness like he's doing, or are you going to try and do what y'all are talking about, is maybe just, get his shot a little bit, I don't want to say more accurate, but I mean, just kind of get his chances to go in more often, I guess.
What I really think it comes down to is being able to get mid-range shots on net more often. I really think that's where he struggled this year. And that's really a spot where you see the superstar level come in. And this was like kind of my rabbit hole going on, just going off of high danger shots. The Stars as a whole in high danger goals for the season were in the 99th percentile. They were the best in the league at high danger goals. They had the most. And then you go to mid-range and long range, and they're both 50 or lower. So it's really the Stars team as a whole is very good at getting to the net and scoring in those areas. But as soon as you get the puck a little further away, they struggle.
And I think that's something that the superstar level really helps with. I mean, when Mikko Rantanen gets the puck in the high slot and he's got an open wrist shot, it's probably going in like it did on that first goal against Colorado. So that's a very much a superstar skill. I mean, that's like you look at Bedard. That's what he does. He's a shooter. That's why he is so hyped, because he can beat goalies from anywhere on the ice. So having Rantanen on that top line for an extended period of time, I think could really help with that. But I think Johnston has room to develop a better shot in that way. I 100% agree. His highest skill is his hockey IQ, and it probably always will be. But if he can develop a shot as he's kind of maturing into the prime of his career right now, I think that would be insanely helpful for him as a player and for the Stars moving forward if he becomes a second line center and is able to score those types of goals.
And honestly, you talking about Mikko Rantanen and those mid-range goals, that's his thing. That's like Rantanen's thing. He's better at the mid-range goals than even right in front of the net. He's decent right in front of that. And then later in the article, it talks about Mikko Rantanen. He's ranked 95th percentile in his position at mid-range shots on goals. And he has 12 mid-range goals, and that's good for it's like 94, 95 percentile. So that is his thing.
Those are the stats I need, James. Keep backing up my hunches. I love it.
So,
I got you.
Well, James, give people like a picture. What do they what does NHL Edge consider like mid-range goals? Like when I think mid-range goals, I'm thinking like if you're thinking like in the slot right above the hash marks.
That is exactly where mid-range goals are.
Okay.
Right.
And
right.
Is it like a semicircle around?
Yeah, it's like from the top of the face-off circle to the face-off dot, basically, and everywhere in between there. That's a mid-range shot, and that is just where Rantanen really thrives. And honestly, another player on the team, Robertson, also does very well at mid-range shots. And
he does those freaking weird shots from the mid-range, the spinoramas and all that.
And that's something that could be really fun to watch this Stars team this year, is seeing goals from further out.
Keep doing in the high danger spots. That's the most important. They've got that down. Just get a little bit more help from the other spots.
Well, the thing that would be really interesting to me, and it doesn't really talk about it in the article, but what is the difference between the regular season and the playoffs? Like that would be really interesting to me if we could check on something like that. I should have done that.
I assume the high danger chances would go down. Just because the defenses kind of collapse a little bit more.
Right. And it's playoffs. Naturally, it's going to be less goals too. But the other thing that's interesting about it as well is that was something that the Stars just struggled with. They struggled. They seemed like they always struggled to score goals in the Western Conference Final.
Well, and I think your mid-range chances probably go up in those situations too. You think about 2 years ago when the Stars got eliminated by Edmonton in Game 6. All those shots that Stuart Skinner was stopping, they're pretty much all from that mid-range area that James is kind of talking about, just outside the slot, because the Oilers were giving that up. They're like, you're not getting the high danger chances, but you can get those mid ones. If we can get a few more of those, especially for Mikko, I think that's going to be a big difference moving forward.
Yeah, and what's funny is actually in the playoffs, the Stars in mid-range goals were one of the best teams in the playoffs at that.
Really?
Really.
That's crazy to me because and see, that doesn't seem to make sense on just a logical level for me, because I would think that more of the goals that you see in the playoffs are going to be more of like the down dirty, around the net kind of goals.
We're just saying
rebound kind of goals.
That's what teams are taking away though.
Yeah.
And I think that the other thing that kind of slants that is the Stars just scored a lot in the playoffs too. Like
they did.
Yeah.
Except for the Western Conference Final.
The defense was struggling and we were powering through it with the offense.
Yep, that's true. Well, there were like all of those things are really interesting to me because I'm sure that that Glen Gulutzan and the whole staff, and now the Stars have their own analytics department. I'm sure they're looking at these too. And there's even some stats that are available to them that are not available to the public. And I wonder if those stats kind of back up what the NHL Edge stats are saying, and the fact that maybe the Stars need to get a little bit better on these mid-range shots. But my question, I guess, is if that's what we're looking at, how do you improve that? Is that literally just like sitting in practice and just going from like you would see like, basketball players take three-pointers and just go around the court, around the 3-point line, and the Stars do the same thing, but just with individual players?
No,
I don't know how you fix that.
I don't think you try to improve that. You want to score from the high danger places. They're doing it correctly. They just, when they do shoot from mid range, they need a little bit more help with them going in. I don't think you try to score more from the mid range necessarily. I think it's more of an individual basis of getting better shots on goal. Is
that like a luck thing then? Are you saying that that's more of
shoot
like
better.
a luck thing? Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, how do you improve that? Because
shoot better.
But again, like specific things, like what drills do you do? Is it
pull your wrist harder, flex the stick more? How specific do you want me to get here, Ryan?
I'm sorry. I'm looking for solutions, and I just don't know what the answer is. So I really think that's all it is.
This team doesn't have a lot of shooters. I mean, that's why I think we were so hesitant of the Jason Robertson rumors, because he's one of the true shooters on the team. I think before we got Mikko, and even Mikko, I wouldn't say Mikko's a shooter. I mean, he was with McKinnon for forever, for goodness sake. I mean, he was setting him up for years and years. So it's a team of playmakers, and it needs to be a little bit more shooters. And I think Mikko's starting to do that, and I think kind of got away from it in that Edmonton series especially. So I really do think shooting is one of the things this team isn't the best at, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like you got two of them, and that's Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah,
right now.
Like who else is a shooter?
That's like maybe
Sagan.
Sagan, you can add Sagan.
Yeah, I mean he is a sniper. That is true. It's just that it's kind of hard to say that when we didn't really see him very much last season, and then even in the playoffs, he wasn't his full self because he had been off for months.
Right.
So. But I do want to jump to one player in particular because I love this player, Rope. Some of the things about the high danger mid range goals that this article is talking about. It also mentions his speed as well. Like that's no shock to anybody who watches him on a regular basis. But he ranks in the 97th percentile among forwards in top skating speeds, and it says 23.7 miles per hour. That's ridiculous.
It's actually lower than I thought. I feel like most years he always has the second fastest burst, just behind McDavid.
It's kind of funny because Rantanen actually was chasing Hintz this year. Like Rantanen's pretty fast too. He's in the 94th percentile.
He's a freaking Mack truck.
That's
too,
terrifying. A guy
big
that
as he is.
Hate that fast.
Yeah. But the other thing was he was 8th in 22 plus mile per hour speed bursts. He was 6th in 20 plus mile per hour speed bursts, and then we were mentioning some of the mid range goals, the high danger chance, stuff like that. He finished in the 94th percentile at his position, so among centers, in high danger shots on goal, high danger goals. And he was in the 83rd percentile in mid-range shots on goal and 85th percentile in mid-range goals.
That's probably pretty low for a first-line center.
Yeah, and that's true. And we continue to talk about him and the fact that there's still something there that we feel like is there that we haven't seen yet in his career. He is absolutely a number one center. He's got that potential. He's proved it. He's done amazing stuff with Jason Robertson and whoever else has been on his wing, but he has never gotten to that quote unquote point per game status like we would see from Robo or from Moose or from, guys like Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, like for the Winnipeg Jets to throw out some examples. Like he regularly gets like 60 to 70 points if he's fully healthy. And maybe that's the issue. He's just not staying fully healthy, but anyways, I thought all of that stuff was interesting, especially the whole mid-range shots thing.
Mikko could get him there. I mean, I really think that's going to be one of, if not the best line in hockey next year, is the Stars' top line. My favorite stat from the article was that the Stars were number one in distance skated on the power play.
Yeah,
which they skated probably really bad.
Yeah, yeah. They skated overall. They skated one of the most miles of any team throughout the entire season. So, and what's funny is about that is that the Stars are also one of the slowest teams in the NHL actually. Yep. So this is not a fast team. It's a team full of playmakers who know how to score. That's basically what it comes down to.
And like to score off the rush. And that's why there's so much skating on this team, because there's not a lot of setting up and stopping.
And that's actually a big problem too. The Stars are they're below 50%, and they're in the bottom half of the league in offensive zone time. And when you look at other teams who do well in the playoffs, they're not typically down there. Like Edmonton, Florida, both are 90 percentile of the league in offensive zone time. And really, this is something that we've seen from the Stars team for years and years now, is just not being able to stay in the offensive zone.
I mean, there's lots of other things on there too that I was kind of surprised about. Like Johnston finished 9th among forwards in total miles skated on the power play. Like, and that goes to show how much he's truly playing.
Well,
and then there's
when
other
skating
players
on the power play that much, that's not good. That means you're getting the puck a lot.
Well, okay. Well, here's the other thing about this too, that we've talked about over the offseason a little bit too, is the whole East-West versus North-South game. And what we're talking about is more up the ice kind of attacks in terms from the Stars. We saw a lot of East-West from the Stars last year. And we think that's something that's probably going to change under Glen Gulutzan, but we don't know for sure. I wonder if that comes into play here in terms of, power play miles skated. What do you think?
I really think it's gonna, because the Stars team they are very good in the neutral zone, but there's a reason why they're so good in the neutral zone, and it's because they spend more time than any other team in the neutral zone. So that's got to be something that you change. You got to move some of that neutral zone time into offensive zone time, and if you can do that even by like 2-3%, this team's going to get ridiculously good.
And James, I think you're right about the main problem is staying in the zone, not so much getting in the zone.
I mean, but how many times do we complain about their zone entries?
I don't think we should have been.
I mean, on the power play,
back at it.
On the power play early in the year, yeah, that was really bad. But like just your normal 5-on-5, I don't think getting into the zone was ever a big problem for the Stars. I mean, they were one of the teams that carries the puck across the blue line more than any, which I think was great. Especially when you got so many playmakers, guys that can actually dish the puck when they get pressured right after entering the O-zone.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that is impressive is even being in the bottom half of the league in offensive zone time, they're top 4 or 5 in total goals.
Yeah, that's how good they were off the rush.
they just got in and they scored. That's just what happened. And that's great in terms of winning games, but controlling games, you need that offensive zone time.
It still baffles me, this one stat, by the way, that Dallas against the New York Rangers on December 20th. It's a very specific stat. They skated 12.43 miles on the power play, and it was the most by any team in a single game last season, including the most by forwards and second most by defensemen.
Did we get like 6 power plays and not score on any of them?
I think we had 7.
I think that was
we scored on 3 or 4 of them still.
Really? We must have scored on them late.
I can't remember if that was the game where we were scoring every power play goal, or if it was the game where we were scoring none.
I'm pretty sure that was Wyatt's hat trick power play game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you might be right. Okay. That does sound familiar. Anyways, I want to say that's a good thing because they're skating and
that is not a good thing on the power play.
That's not a good thing. Yeah. It means that they're not being accurate on the power play and they're not getting enough chances to go in. But the last thing we want to kind of point out, and it's the third stat that they mention on the NHL Edge stats, is the long range save percentage. Now, I'll give y'all my personal take on how I feel about this. I think this makes a whole lot of sense based off of how the Stars played defensively around their goalies last year. Is they played man-to-man, and a lot of the time, at least as long as it wasn't against the Oilers, it worked most of the time until it didn't. And the Oilers exposed it. And I think that's something that DeBoer's system was good for Jake Oettinger, is those long range shots. It allowed him to see those shots and save them. And I'm using that just out of logic. There's nothing for me to back that up on. But I thought it was interesting that he finished third in long range save percentage with a 988. So that's crazy high just to begin with. But still, I don't know if that's something that is necessarily a good thing.
No, that's very much a good thing. That is why Jake Oettinger was so good in that Calgary series, because he's so good at saving shots from far away.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I would hope. I would
The-
hope a goalie would be good at that.
But he's one of the best. Is the big
Right. That's the first thing, is that Jake Oettinger is one of the best positional goalies in the NHL. He probably is the best, I would say. Well, there's Connor Hellebuck, but he's one of the best positional goalies in the NHL. He's always in the right spot. And whenever he's having a good game, it doesn't really look like it because he's not doing anything special. He's just doing everything perfect. So that's the first thing. The other thing is the man defense. It allows you to pressure that guy high up more than his zone defense would. So the guys on the point who are actually getting those shots off aren't getting as high a quality shot off as they would if it was a zone shot. But the thing that gives up is, hey, you're pressuring the guy on the point who's very likely not going to score, pretty similarly to the guy who's down right in front of the net who's much more likely to score. So that's what you're kind of sacrificing there. So I think those are the two things that caused Jake to have that. I mean, one, he's a great position, and two, the man defense makes it hard to score from up high.
And there's a lot of stats on here too that they actually go into the playoff stats here for Jake Oettinger too. And in particular, it says in 18 games, he finished first in mid-range save, second in long-range save, and he finished second in high danger saves. So that goes to show you that he was very good in the playoffs, right? And now we all go back to that Calgary series and be like, oh my gosh, he was like God then, but he was also playing behind a lot worse team than he is now. But what that also shows is that he raised his level of his game in the playoffs. And I don't know if it's the curse of the Western Conference Final that he's just not able to get over the hump, or if it's the team that kind of doesn't get the run support for him, if we're using Rangers terms, Texas Rangers terms right now. But maybe it's a mix of both. I don't know. But you can't look at those stats and say that he didn't raise his game in the playoffs this year.
Agreed.
And there's a lots of really insights that we could go into when it comes to the Stars and these edge stats. But I'm glad you sent that article to us, James, because that really, kind of made it eye-opening a little bit, especially with Wyatt Johnston more than anybody, because it should show that there's maybe something else there that can be, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but improved and maybe taken advantage of in terms of getting more goals for him. Maybe he needs to be more of a goal scorer that we don't have. I mean, we were like, well, we've got guys that can score goals, but is there a guy that is like our Alexander Ovechkin? Like, do we have a purebred sniper right now? And yeah, Sagan is that, but he's getting older. And is he going to get to 30 goals ever again? And stuff like that. So maybe that's something Wyatt needs to do. So, but before we move off of this, though, I'll let y'all have kind of like the last thoughts on this, or anything that we didn't point out in this article. Anything else y'all wanted to talk about?
Well, one thing that the article doesn't mention about Jake Oettinger's regular season stats is the high danger save percentage. And that's where he was bad. That's how you can have such good shot or such good save percentages in long and mid range and still not be like the best goalie in the league, is high danger save percentage. And that comes down to the man-on-man coverage system.
And it tells you exactly what kind of goalie he is, too. He's a positional goalie who does the small things correctly. And when there's guys right in his crease who have a great chance to score, he's not the guy who's typically going to be diving across the crease or sticking his paddle out to make the stop. That's just not how he plays.
And it makes me really excited for if the Stars really are going to go away from that man-on-man, Jake Oettinger, we could see Jake Oettinger have his best season he's ever had.
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something I was thinking about too with the whole stats and everything. Is like he did technically improve his stats from last season in the regular season. Like his goals against average, I believe, went down. It wasn't drastic or anything, but his save percentage, which it was above 900, which is good. Above 900, especially nowadays, is good because the offense is much higher than it was even 5 years ago. But again, you feel like there's still a little bit there to be said for Jake Oettinger, and in terms of like the stats, he's doing everything he can to help this team win.
Yeah,
but
his mediocre is
like
top 10 in the NHL, and like
yes,
we saw the God mode in the Calgary series. We haven't really seen it since, though. So I don't. You shouldn't expect him to get hot that way because we haven't seen that happen since his rookie year. But a top 10 goalie is still more than good enough to get you to the Stanley Cup.
Well, the question for me for Jake Oettinger is, does he need to be a top 5 goalie in order for this team to win the Stanley Cup?
No.
I think he is anyway, though, especially in the playoffs. He elevates to that level.
Well, it's also not fair because he gets to go deep into the playoffs. So obviously he's going to be a top 5 goalie in the playoffs because his team goes deep. But yeah, it'll Jake Oettinger moving forward is going to be very interesting to see how this new system with Glen Gulutzan kind of fits in. I think it's going to be harder in some ways and easier in others. I think there's just going to be trade-offs, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these stats kind of go forward. So, okay, I do want to move to a couple of different things here, though, guys. Is in particular, there's one article that I wanted to mention, and it was Sam Nessler's article that he did with Jake Oettinger, and there were a couple of interesting quotes, and I'd like to read them to you if y'all are okay, and y'all give me y'all's thoughts on them.
No, that's not okay.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to do something else then. But too bad. He was asked about approaching all of this drama as a pro in terms of all the drama that he faced this past year towards the end of the playoffs, obviously. And one of the things that he would kind of talked about is he was kind of focusing on what he can do on the ice to kind of keep him far away from that type of situation in the future. And some of the things he said were pretty obvious, but I'll go ahead and let him speak using his own words. He says, "How I'm trying to look at it now is just to learn from it. Stuff happens, but I think if I'm playing as well as I know I can, I think I can make both those saves, and we're not even having this conversation." And obviously the saves he's talking about in the final game of the playoffs for the Stars. And I could have had both of those goals, and I think if you make those saves, who knows where we end up. Obviously, a lot of stuff happened after that, and just trying to move forward and focus on what I can do better so I don't put myself in that situation again. So despite everyone coming to save him, basically, and to come to his aid, and after he was pulled in the final game of the playoffs, he's still saying, yeah, maybe there's still some inkling there. I think in the back of those comments, he's saying, yeah, I didn't like how that was handled. But he's still saying he could have made those saves and he should have made those saves.
Well, that's just the correct answer. Like if you were to say what is the best answer to that question, he kind of gave it. So Jake is just one of the better media trained players that the Stars have. He always says the right thing, and that is the right thing. But I also think it tells you pretty much nothing. Yes, Jake Oettinger wants to save pucks. We knew that.
James, any thoughts?
No, Chris summed it up perfectly, I think.
Okay.
Like, he's a goalie. Yes, he wants to save the puck. That's kind of how they are.
The one thing I did want to throw in here is he was also asked about Glen Gulutzan as well, and kind of what's going to be new under Glen Gulutzan. And they kind of talked about what he could bring and then kind of what tweaks are going to be made, and maybe what he as a goalie is going to experience differently. And for Oettinger, this is what he said. I have only kind of had a new coach one time in my career. So this is a big change for him. It's going to be different what they like to do. I think that's just the biggest thing we're going to have to learn with this new coach and what he wants. And just the scheduling and all that type of stuff is all going to be new. So I'm excited to see what changes. So
correct.
The part to me that stands out to me is particularly about the scheduling, because we did hear him talk about, maybe sometimes after a game they actually spend the night in that city before and then just leave the next day, or maybe they switch up the schedule and they never have morning skates and they only have practices on off days or whatever. I thought that I know that's like, 3 words out of that particular quote, but the fact that he mentioned that I thought was really interesting to me.
Yeah, I think the comments that goalie has made on trying to take a more scientific approach to how the team manages the schedule is really interesting. And I think it just kind of makes sense. And it's something that a lot of older coaches probably wouldn't really think to do. But I definitely think it's something to pay attention to. I mean, especially for the NHL schedule, like such a physical sport that plays day in, day out pretty much. I mean, you really need to give yourself as much of an edge in the rest department as you can.
And especially when it comes to the Central Division as a whole. I mean, all the teams in the Central,
travel.
Yeah, they're having to travel a ridiculous amount. I mean, it doesn't make a difference. But you're always going somewhere, and it's
right. If you're going from New Jersey to Buffalo, it probably doesn't make as much of a difference.
Yeah, but it's matters a lot more when you're going from like Dallas to Winnipeg. It's in division, and you're flying like 10 hours.
Divisional matchup.
Yeah. Well, he was also asked about particularly and specifically Christian Neil Graham and his relationship with Neil Graham as well. And he said, I couldn't be more excited about that. When he was our assistant for that half season in Cedar Park, I was going every other game with our other goalie. He took over and just installed a ton of belief in me. I kind of took over after he got pulled up, and our team turned it around. We were on like a 13-game losing streak by that time he took over. When the season got called for during COVID, we were in a relationship. He and I had a great relationship. We were in a playoff spot. Excuse me. I was
there. We go. That was weird. I was like,
sorry.
You did not read that right, friendo.
No. I was trying to look ahead. Sorry. He and I had a great relationship when I was in Austin. He really springboarded me, really believed in me. As a first-year pro, when your head coach is as good of a guy as he is and really believes in you, that's when my game and I really started to feel confident. So I owe a lot of success I had in the NHL to him. So he's singing the praises of Neil Graham quite a bit and the success that he had in the AHL. And, maybe Neil Graham's the reason why, Jake Oettinger is currently the starting netminder for the Dallas Stars.
I don't think so, but I'm sure he helped. I mean, Neil Graham is known for being like a great guy, definitely like a player's kind of coach. And I mean, all of his players have always just said the best things about him, and that he always kind of knows what the right thing to say is in the moment. And he fiercely defends his goalies. We were hard pressed to try and talk to any goalies when we were covering his team down here in Cedar Park. So yeah, I think he's a guy that a lot of those people who played with him down here will feel comfortable with, and will maybe just get a little bit of a spark from.
I just thought a lot of the quotes from him in the article were really, really interesting, and how he's looking at the season and everything. And I truly think that as Mikko Rantanen is kind of like the default guy in terms of he's going to have to take a huge load with all the changes that the Stars have made. We feel like the Stars have to kind of taken a step back. in terms of their depth this upcoming year. I really think that the team and their ability to win the Stanley Cup kind of rests on Jake Oettinger's shoulders. I mean, that's no surprise with any championship team. Most championships teams have very, very good goaltenders. I
Yep.
mean, no offense to the Edmonton Oilers, but I think that's one of the reasons why they're not able to get over the edge. And that's no offense to Stuart Skinner, but he's not a top 10 goalie in the NHL like Jake Oettinger is.
That's
Unless he's
definitely
playing the Dallas
offense.
Stars.
I mean, it's definitely offense to Stuart Skinner, but I mean, he's not there.
Right. I mean,
Clearly.
it's just a fact.
Unless he's playing the Stars, and then he's the best goalie in the league.
Yeah, it feels like every backup against the Stars is just like the reincarnation of Dominic Hasek or something like that. Talk about a goalie that is the far opposite of Jake Oettinger in terms of positioning.
Well, the Stars created Sam Montembeau. We're the reason he's so good.
Yeah, that's true, right? I remember 2-3 years ago. Who is this guy? And he's like, saving 37 out of 38 or whatever, stuff like that. I remember those days. We have a little bit of time, and I want to go through these quickly, but I also wanted to give a shout out to Sean Shapiro's article, and he polled these NHL insiders, and he specifically polled 10 of them, and he just asked them specific questions. All right. And for one of the first questions he asked was, are the Dallas Stars a Stanley Cup contender this season? How do you think they answered?
10 out of 10 said yes.
10 out of 10 said yes. The next question he asked them is this: are the Dallas Stars a better team than last season?
And that's how he phrased it?
Mm-hmm. That is word for word how he phrased it.
I think it's split.
Okay. How do you think it's split?
It's 6-4. 6-4 for better team.
What do you think, James?
5-5, right down the middle.
It's actually 2-8. 2 yeses, 8 nos.
Oh.
And he did mention now the 2 yes responses and even some of the no answers said they'd like to better answer this question to see what Jim Null does in the season to potentially improve the roster.
Right.
So they're talking about the trade deadline.
You kind of got apples to oranges with the way the salary cap works in the NHL. Like, you can't compare a team at the end of the season to the way that team looks at the beginning of the next season, just because the whole thing is just different. You've got players that can be flexed around in all kinds of ways once that trade deadline comes around.
So the next question he asked is kind of a two-parter. So the first one is, should the Stars have fired Pete DeBoer? And the second part of that is, should the Stars have hired Glen Gulutzan? What do you think about, should the Stars have fired Pete DeBoer? I was on the boat right after Game 5.
Yeah,
I think he needs to be gone.
I think that'll be a mostly yes.
Okay. What do you think, James?
Yeah, probably mostly yes.
Believe it or not, it is 4-6.
Wow.
4 yeses, 6 nos. So I was a little surprised to hear that, because I felt like there were a lot more people outside of the Stars organization that were saying that he needed to be fired because he didn't have any confidence in his goalie.
Well, and that's just kind of, it's the way you look at the situation. If you look at it just by the numbers, no way you fire him. He was the best coach in the regular season over those 3 years. So that would be insane. And you took it to the conference finals repeatedly. Like,
3
that would
times
just
in a
be
row.
stupid to get rid of him. But when you look at what unfolded at the end of the regular season, as those playoffs went along, it just, the more emotional gut feeling side says there's nothing else this guy can do. Like, he's run out of tricks. His bag is empty.
That is exactly what I said after Game 5. I said he looks like a guy who does not have the answers.
And it was the best playoff roster that the Stars may have ever fielded.
Yeah,
Since
and
2008,
he disagreed.
for sure.
He thought last year's was better. I mean, he was on record saying that. So, I mean, that seems a little bit crazy.
So on the other
I think that
side,
shows a disconnect between your coach and your GM. Sorry, too long of a pause. That's my mistake.
Okay. Should the Stars have hired Glen Gulutzan? How do you think they answered on that?
Yes. The dude went to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row as an assistant coach. So
these people are going to say yes because they like when other people like them. So they're going to say yes to try and get on goalie's good side.
They were also kind of split on this one too. 6-4 in favor of yes. So I thought that was interesting too. I thought that was going to be, I don't know. I thought there were going to be more no's there than yeses when it came to these NHL insiders.
Yeah, the only reason there's more yeses is because they like to say nice things about people who can give them good quotes.
And there were some mixed reviews about. I'm ignoring that. There were some mixed reviews about goalie on the outside, not because of like the work he did with the Oilers, James, because he mentioned obviously he made it to the Stanley Cup final as an assistant 2 years in a row, but rather the actual question is he actually the guy that's going to get Dallas over the hump? That was more of the question that they were looking at is he truly the guy to get Dallas over the hump? Which, I mean, that's where we're at, right? The Stars it's Stanley Cup final or bust. Now, I don't think if they lose that it's the end of the world or anything like that. It would really suck.
It is.
Definitely. But it definitely feels like that's the expectation for this team because you fire the head coach, like you mentioned, Chris, with stats-wise, who was one of the best. And over the last 3 seasons, it was like 68% winning percentage, something insane like that. So I just thought it was really, really interesting. Just that it was kind of off the charts there.
Yeah, and I think the split just comes from, I mean, he doesn't have the resume. His resume as a head coach is bad, and then his resume as the Oilers' offense power play guy is like, well, there's 2 asterisks, and they're 2 of the best asterisks that have ever been on the ice.
Right. That's and it's like, can he do that with? Well, I mean, he's still going to have good players in Texas.
But he's not going to have McDavid.
He's not going to have McDavid and Draisaitl. Both of those guys are better than Mikko Rantanen. No offense to Mikko Rantanen, but that's just the truth and the reality of it. Okay. Should the Dallas Stars trade Jason Robertson?
No. They all said no.
I think a few of them said yes. And I think it's those same people that said that they shouldn't have fired DeBoer. It's the numbers guys.
James is 100% right. They were unanimous in saying no. All 10 of them said no.
Especially after looking at the edge stats, it just makes me scream no even more.
The only reason they were looking at that is because of their worries with the cap next season and what he's going to probably get.
Yep.
And the fact that they purposely put themselves in this hole with Mikko Rantanen's contract that he signed. And that's okay. I'm not saying anything against that contract at all, but that's what you have to live with is that anxiety and that preparation that, you might not be able to field as good a team as you want because you went out and got this guy, Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah. I'll take this problem and a Mikko Rantanen.
Right. Exactly. I think that's something we've talked about that numerous times. And this is kind of where I kind of talked about, is Jake Oettinger a top 5 goalie? Is Jake Oettinger a top 5 goalie in the NHL?
Yes.
I think one of them said no because they're trolls.
Okay. This would be really interesting to you. 2 said yes and 8 said no.
Wow.
So I'll let Sean kind of his article explains it. Everyone agrees Otter is a top 10 goalie. All 8 no answers said that, but the top 5 conversation is one that those outside Dallas have had a hard time justifying after watching his shortcomings and back-to-back Western Conference Finals. So that's why they're saying he's not a top 5 goalie in the NHLs because of his performances in just those Western Conference Finals.
I guess, but are those the remaining 4 goalies 3 years in a row?
My answer to that is okay. Then is Hellebuck a top 5 goalie? The obvious answer to that is yes. But he is way worse in the playoffs.
Yeah, but does all of his amazing stats in the regular season trump all of his bad stats in the playoffs? And I guess the answer for those insiders is yes.
I guess
because he won the Vezina.
If anyone could, it would have been this season for him. He won the Vezina, the Hart, and he won the President's Trophy pretty much.
He pretty much did. And let's be honest. If the Jets had won the Stanley Cup, he would have won the Conn Smythe as well. There's no way that he doesn't win the Conn Smythe if they win the Stanley Cup.
So here's a fun stat that I kind of just randomly looked up real quickly. I looked at save percentage over the last 3 years for goaltenders. Can you guess who number 1 is?
Hellebuck.
Can you guess who number 2 is?
Vasilevsky.
Can you guess who number 3 is?
Well, I'm guessing it's Jake Oettinger.
It's Jake freaking Oettinger.
I don't think I would have guessed that, though. But yeah, I think they're wrong.
Yep.
I think he probably is the top 5 goalie. I think he's low in the top 5 for sure, but I think he's in the top 5.
Okay, we're running out of time. So 2 questions, and we got to get to who cares. Will Miro Heiskanen ever win a Norris Trophy? Yes or no?
No.
He's going to get one in a bad year. Like, there's going to be a bad year for defensemen, and they're going to be like, man, we got to give one to Miro.
But what do they
for forever?
They were actually split on this. I was actually very surprised. They were 5-5. Yes and no. And then we could go down a rabbit hole with that one. But last question. Will Mikko Rantanen be a 100-point player in Dallas without Nathan McKinnon?
Yes.
Yes, especially with Pete DeBoer gone.
Okay. How do you think they answered?
8-2, yes.
I think they all said yes.
3-7.
Wow.
3 said yes?
3 said yes and 7 said no. So they with the last sentence, for many of the panelists, the lack of having McKinnon for a full season and how they see the Stars built, they struggled to see Rantanen hitting 100 points.
See, I would agree with them if the playoffs didn't happen, okay? The playoffs happened. That was just Mikko Rantanen doing exactly what he's done for the entire rest of his career.
What
nationality were these insiders? I guarantee they're all Canadians.
No, but James, you're wrong, because what I'm saying is what he did for the Stars in the playoffs is way bigger than anything he did in Colorado. Because in Colorado, he had help.
That's why it's not true.
Like, he was playing third fiddle in Colorado to Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar.
No,
in Dallas, he is first fiddle.
What was it last year when McKinnon was out for an extended period of time and Mikko was getting heart considerations?
He's that good.
That sounds familiar.
I really think he's that good.
I believe he's going to get to 100 points. And I said that on the Partial Breakaway podcast, the fantasy podcast here on THPN. And I said both him and Robo as a hot take, we're going to get to 100 points. I believe it. I think that is something that could happen.
I think it's silly that that's a question if Rantanen is going to get to 100 points. Robertson, definitely. That's a huge question mark for him. But Rantanen, he should get to 100 points.
I think that's the expectation for a lot of people.
That is the expectation.
Yeah, I think that, and that's not even a nice thing, I think, for Stars fans, considering all the offense that the Stars have lost. And I mean, I know Marchment is not a ton, but Marchment and Granlund gone, a lot of that is going to be placed on Rantanen and a little bit on board, but mostly Rantanen. Okay, we need to get to the Who Cares segment because we're running out of time quickly. Okay, James, was this your idea?
Yes, this was my idea.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so we are doing our top 3 favorite default apps on your iPhone. So your top 3 default apps.
Does it have to be an iPhone?
It doesn't have to be an iPhone
But if it's not, we're going to judge you.
Yeah, we'll judge you a little bit.
Well, yeah, but like, there's a lot of people that don't have
apps.
iPhones.
Okay, but Ryan, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, of course I do.
Chris, do you have an iPhone?
I have an iPhone.
Yes.
I also have an iPhone, so we're doing iPhone.
Okay, well, what Chris for a while was a iPhone deceiver.
He has an iPhone now, Ryan. Okay, stop derailing the segment.
And please. Now I'm not poor, so I have an iPhone.
Our dad is a Samsung believer, so that's totally why I'm leaning into that. Anyways, who wants to go first? Number 3.
Number 3 is the Notes app.
That's
because
so pathetic.
You know what? I agree. But I get those random thoughts in my little head thing, and I got to write them down, because if I don't write things down, they are in and out of my brain immediately. Like, if I forget a thought, it is never existing ever again. So the Notes app, it is full of weird notes.
Okay, I'm gonna go next because I don't want my number one to be the last thing we hear because it's pretty pathetic. But my number 3 is X because that's the social media app that I use the most. It's my
Ryan obviously did not understand the topic that we are
Default
doing. We are
apps?
doing default apps that are on your phone by default.
oh
James,
Good
your
luck
number
with
three.
James,
that.
keep going.
Anyway,
I gotta redo.
My
My
number
God.
third.
This is last week all over again, Chris.
I'm
I
about to
swear.
say you're struggling with our. You know what? Maybe you need to get on the notes app because I seem to be forgetting what we're doing here.
Give me a little bit of a break.
My number third is the calculator app because I
Great
hate doing
answer.
math in my head, and that is just it's so easy to just pull up the calculator and just type it in, and
That's
it's
a
a great
great
way.
answer.
It's a great way to like add up your points and like Yahtzee and whatnot. So you get to just turn your brain off, add a bunch of 2-digit numbers together.
Why specifically Yahtzee?
Because that's
He's
the one
on-
that came to mind, Ryan.
He's on a Yahtzee kick, man. He's going for top 100 in the world in Yahtzee, so you gotta give him a break.
Oh,
Competitive
dang.
Yahtzee player right here.
And calculator is my number 2 as well. That's a great answer, James. Just throw that in there, a little sprinkle.
Ryan, do you have your number 3 yet?
I'm struggling here.
Wow.
Okay, just pick one.
James, number 2.
James, keep going.
All right.
I might have to give all my 3 at the
Ryan,
last.
pick
No.
one app. Pick one
Pick
default
one.
app.
Pick the best. Your number one.
You get
default
one.
App. All right. My number 2 is the camera app. I love the camera app. I love photography as a whole. It is one of my favorite hobbies. Just to be able to like see something that's like so cool, and you don't want to forget. You just pull out your phone real quick, pull out the camera, take a picture. There you go. If you ever want to remember it, go back, look at it.
The problem
But
is
only
I
if
use
you
the
have an
cameras
iPhone.
app like my notes app. So my camera roll is just full of like random things, like receipts and
But
screenshots of stuff.
that's
I can't
another
forget.
good reason to have the camera app.
Yeah, I feel like I use it wrong though. I feel like I'm not good at it.
All right, Chris.
All right, I can give my
your
first.
number
Yeah,
1. Yeah.
I'll give the number 1, and it is the wallet app. I enjoy that so much.
That's a
I
very
don't,
good number 1.
I don't like taking these cards out of my wallet and jimmying with my little grubby fingers to try and dig them out of there. It is so frustrating. So when I can just hit a button and it looks at my face and I can pay for stuff, that's amazing. We live in the future. This is a miracle. And to think, Amazon was trying to put chips in people's hands. This is all we had to do. If you got a chip in your hand to pay for things, and now we have Apple Pay, how foolish do you look? Dumb.
Okay, Ryan, have you figured out your number 1?
I've got 3. I'm good. I got 3.
Okay, do your number 3, number 2.
Do them
number
quick
1.
because James needs to have the last number 1 because I'm sure it's going to be better than yours.
Yeah, I agree because I totally did not get the idea.
Number 3 is the Compass app.
I don't even think I've ever opened that app.
I
Ever.
have. You've never opened that app? You don't want to know what your
No.
elevation is? It tells you your
No, I
elevation.
don't care. I don't care. I know where I'm going based off of the sun's position in the sky. Thank you very much.
What about right now? Nighttime. He has no idea where he's going.
Correct.
He's walking blind.
You look
Right.
at the North
Anyway,
Star.
what's your number 3?
Yeah. Okay. Y'all are derailing this. Okay. All right. My number 3 is actually the passwords app. I know that's stupid, but
that an
I am
app?
as an 80. No, it actually is. It's a default app. I double checked it.
Oh my
I have
goodness.
all of my apps passwords saved on that because
Just go to your
As an-
settings, Ryan.
Oh my god. All my passwords are in here, bro. This is not
discovered the
secure.
new app.
This is not secure.
is Chris's number 1 app now the passwords app?
No. I'm about to delete all these.
Oh, what you find out on a podcast about hockey. Your passwords app actually has all of your banking information, social
Look at all
security
these
number.
Wi-Fi passwords.
All right. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is actually the camera app as well. I was gonna be boring and do that too, because as a band director, like I have so many different like pieces of paper that I have to keep track of. And again, as an ADHD person, I lose things all of the time. So if I don't write it down or if I don't take a picture of it, I like lose it. One thing I never lose is my phone. So if I take a picture of it, I know I'm able to keep track of it. So yeah, that's that. My number one app is the one that actually keeps me alive, and it's my clock app. Because if I am in class and I am not paying attention to the time at all, then all of my alarms telling me to let the kids to go pack up their instruments and stuff like that. If I didn't have that, then I would just make every kid late to every single class every single day. And the other thing on top of that too is that I hate waking up. This is the only thing that wakes me up is the clock app and all the alarms that I have in there. So that's my number one. It's better. There you go. I figured it out. James.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. I hate the clock app. It wakes me up every day, and that makes me angry.
All right.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's like that's the only thing that lets me have a job so I can show up on time.
Job schmob. That's what I always say.
My number one is arguably a terrible number one, but it's a good number one for how versatile it is. It's the Safari app.
Oh my God.
Safari as a whole is terrible, but the internet.
You're right, James.
The internet is a beautiful thing. You can look up questions, anything you want. You can figure it out, and the Safari app, default app on your phone. I still use it all the time. I also have Chrome downloaded, but I still use Safari.
Yeah, I removed Safari. I only have Chrome.
I use Chrome too.
I hate that answer, anymore. James.
I use both, but whenever I have a quick question, I open Safari, honestly.
Okay, are y'all dumb and you have like every single like Google app known to man on your phone too, like Google Sheets, Google Docs, Gmail, all that stuff, or is that just me?
That's just you.
That's just me? Okay.
Sorry,
maybe it's because my school district uses like literally I have Google Photos, Gmail Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, everything on here, on top of Chrome.
Yes, all those Google Sheets I need to create in my daily private life.
It's for my job, Chris.
Put my grocery list in Google Sheets.
No, you have the notes app for that. You already told us that. Okay.
Right.
Obviously, I did not get the memo. That's 2 weeks in a row. I wonder what I'm going to do next week to not follow.
Start talking about the Atlanta Hawks instead of the Dallas Stars.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Jeez. All right. We got anything else to talk about? Anything else?
Nope.
James, what you got?
I got nothing.
Else? You ain't got nothing.
My brain's empty.
Thank y'all for following along with us live. There's even more of you afterwards. Once again, click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio side, 5-star review. We'd appreciate that. If you'd like to join the Who Cares Club as a member, it's $5 a month. Link is down. The link is in the description down below. And also, if you or a friend has a business that is looking to, maybe possibly advertise with a very specific group of Dallas Stars fans, we'd love to partner up with you. The link is down in oh my gosh, the link is down in the description below as well. If you would like to do so as well. And alongside Chris, alongside James, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you all have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Hockey is getting closer and closer and closer. Go Stars.